Hello fine people of the internet. Today we'll be talking about... Fuck. Hello fine people of the internet. Today we'll be talking about... Hello fine people of the internet. Today we'll be talking about... Rayman 2. Okay, just to get this out of the way, Rayman was a game title that started out on the original PlayStation in 1995 and was actually a launch title for the platform. So you might think to yourself, Robert, why would you want to gloss over a thing like that? Well, because this game is absolute bullshit. Its vibrant, kid-friendly graphics and beautiful music mask a game that's crushingly difficult. I could talk for hours on end how unfair this game was to my 9-year-old hands. But we're not gonna go there, because I would say that the game over sound of this game pretty much sums it up for me. Seriously, my nostalgia sorta loves this game, but fuck this game. But now, off to our main event. The story of Rayman 2, while not being the most original of any game ever made, has some pretty cool twists to it. Robot pirates. They're a nasty bunch of mechs that blew up the heart of Rayman's world, scattering it into tiny energy fragments called lumps. So the lumps are the collectibles that you'll be collecting throughout the game. There are 99 or 800 lumps to be found in the world, depending on which version of the game you're playing, and 1,000 lumps if you perform. And 1,000 lumps if you're willing and able to perform the trickery that's needed to regain one of the lumps Razorbeard eats in one of the cutscenes.
Classic stuff.
Razorbeard is your main bad guy. Like duh. He ordered his robot pirates to capture all sorts of creatures from Rayman's world. He locked some of them in his giant ship called the Buccaneer. Or maybe like most of them? I'm not quite sure. More relevant ones can be found in cages, scattered around Rayman 2's world. Furthermore, there are quite a lot of characters that help you along your quest. First off, there's Glowbox. He's your not so bright yet loyal friend. Then there are the Teensies, and one of them is actually the king of the Teensies, though they can't seem to agree who it is. If I was king! And then there's this guy. Then there's Lee the Fairy. She gives you powers now and again and does stuff like this. Then there's Clark. He's a powerful companion, yet he swallowed a pirate whole, so he got really sick. And he needs you to get his medicine for him. It's in a place called the Cave of Madness. But more about that place later. There's an entire cast of less frequent cast members as well. And oh my god! Yeah, this dude freaked me the fuck out as a kid, I'm not gonna lie. Then there's also Polygus. He's the spirit of the world. He's in sort of a hybrid sleep and needs you to find his 4 masks to get him to wake up. 1990s. Go collect-a-thon or go home. So the story of Rayman 2 is... Oh, hang on a minute. So the characters, but especially the story of Rayman 2 are quite simple. But they work well within the context of the game that's presented to you. And that's mostly thanks to the... I love Rayman 2's graphics, especially the crisp, smooth and colorful PC and Dreamcast version. Creator Michel Ancel said in a Devs Play episode, which I highly recommend you check out if you're interested in video games and video game design, that the team aimed to create a world that has a deep mythical lore and a long history to it. And I'd say they succeeded in doing that. Every world you visit feels ancient and just otherworldly enough. And my favorite world of them all is probably the one you visit first after you escape the pirate ship. Yeah, that's why it's called The Great Escape, but it's so short that it's hardly worth mentioning. The Fairy Glade. Yeah, this was pretty much my happy place as a kid. The hand-painted textures, the green hills, the skybox, the running water, it was all there. And it really gave a great sense of detail, given the possibilities of the hardware back then. It really feels like a world you would want to visit. Vicious, yet beautiful.
She's so beautiful.
Another world that's really interesting from a graphical point of view is the Cave of Bad Dream. The Cave of Bad Dreams. And then there's that boss battle. It's something else, alright. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. At the first part of the boss fight, you're sliding down some green, slimy slide of death, while the camera is following you around in first person inside the mouth of the monster that's chasing you. The second part involves more platforming, because it's a platformer, and it pulls off this sort of B-movie Tim Burton-esque style really well. There's also another thing about this world that has nothing to do with graphics, but it cracks me up every time. You see, the sole reason that you're there is to find medicine for your friend Clark. But when you actually manage to beat the boss battle, you can choose between medicine for Clark or something that has a bit more of a shiny quality to it. And guess what? You can actually choose. Ah, come on. You know you want to see what happens. What the hell? Well then, hit yourself in the nuts, why don't you? Well then, I guess my work here is done. Yeah, if you wait long enough, the cutscene will actually send you back to the point just before you made the choice. But the fact that it's even in the game is fucking hilarious to me. And this is the good and slightly more boring outcome of this meeting. I can safely say that this is graphically one of my favorite games from the 90s. I think atmosphere will be the key word here. And in that sense, I prefer Rayman 2 over a lot, if not all of its competitors from its era. The graphics hold up very well today, and that's probably because it never aimed for realism. It's sorta comparable to games like Okami or Wind Waker. Just crank up the resolution a bit and aesthetically everything will still work. Games with a strong sense of art direction tend to be a little bit timeless in that regard. Oh, and the hub world is also very pretty, which is something I kinda forgot about until I went back to this game to record footage for this video. It makes me want to go outside and admire the beauty of the real world. Never mind. I'm gonna let the next segment speak for itself. Now let's talk about some tasty gameplay. Hang on a minute. At the surface, Rayman 2 is pretty much your standard running, gunning, jumping, platforming affair. But it does tend to change things up now and again. You'll be flying on rockets, riding on rockets, hanging on rockets. There's a lot of rocket stuff going on.
I'm a rocket man.
Swimming alongside a giant whale. Fucking love the sound design here, by the way. Surfing, sorta. And traversing a vast lake of lava on a blueberry. That's a thing.
Yes, science!
There's also a level that focuses entirely on flying, which is sorta difficult at first, but once you get a hang of it, it's really quite easy. There's also some combat in this game. It's not really the strongest element of the game, but it's far and in between enough to never really get still. Rayman's controls are optimized to near perfection. They are fast, slick, and very responsive, which is a must for the genre if you ask me. If you die in this game, it's because you screwed up, not the controls. You'll also gain some simple power-ups now and again. They are implemented really well so they feel as natural as jumping and shooting. It is definitely a case of less is more. The power-ups and the gameplay never get overbearing, which admittedly is nothing special if you consider this game was released in 1999, but is a breath of fresh air in a time where a lot of AAA titles have to have a bazillion fucking options to be relevant. Which is, of course, not always necessarily a bad thing, but it can be nice to revisit a game from a time where things were a little bit more straightforward and simple. The last boss battle also matches this gameplay style really well, without being too simple or predictable. I won't spoil it, don't worry. Let me just take my nostalgia goggles off for a minute. Totally. If you're interested in Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64 or just this genre in general, this game is well worth your time. This is just simple and straightforward game design at its finest. And the graphics also hold up very well in 2017, at least in my opinion. Hi.
Oh, hi Mark.
If you made it to this point of the video, you either watched the entire thing or skipped through to the end. Either way, thank you. This was my first outing on YouTube and I must say it was a lot more work than I initially thought. But it was also very much fun to do, so I would really like to do it again. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, leave a like or maybe even subscribe for more future content, who knows? Who knows? So anyway, have a good one you guys, and also Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because this is my first and also probably my last video of 2017, so goodbye.